Welcome to the Iolani School podcast. I'm John Tamanaha, Director of Interactive Media and frequent morning visitor to the faculty lounge, where coffee is usually accompanied by good conversation. This podcast project strives to share that sort of experience as we visit with people associated with Iolani School to hear their personal stories. Since this is our 22nd episode, we decided to focus on the class of 22 through the hearts and minds of a teacher-student duo, but more importantly, a mother-son duo, Lisa Ann Tsuruda and Ryan Tsuruda. Lisa is an upper school English teacher and co-advisor to the class of 2022. Prior to joining the Iolani faculty in 2016, she was honored with the prestigious Milken Award while teaching at Mililani High School. Ryan, who began attending Iolani in kindergarten, is currently one of 3 senior proconsuls and was one of 4 co-captains on the Iolani State Championship football team. We covered a wide variety of topics, and the Tsurudas even posed questions to each other. You'll quickly feel the special strength of their loving bond. Thanks for downloading. Please enjoy. Let's try something different. Ryan, is there a question you'd like to ask your mom? Something you've always been curious about or never had the opportunity to ask?
It's so hard because Ryan and I talk all the time, and there's so much that he wants to know. So I know maybe he has to think.
Well, maybe it could come from the standpoint of something that you want the audience to know.
Okay.
You know, from like I do too, right? As the interviewer, but I don't know your mom as well as you do. So if we got to the end of this and I didn't ask a particular question, you would feel, oh, you should have asked that. Is there a question in your mind kind of swirling around?
Oh, man. I think maybe at the end of the podcast, once we reflect over all the experiences about me and my mom, then I will ask the question.
Okay, great. Fair enough. Lisa.
Yes.
Do you have a question for your son?
I think my question for Ryan is, while going through everything, was it worth it? And maybe that's the question I ask myself all the time. But all the things that, you stay up late at night, you're always going here and there. For the person that you are becoming and hope to become in the future, is coming to Iolani and going through all of this, for right now, was it worth it?
I definitely think that it was. Growing up here all my life, I've had so many opportunities that I wouldn't have had if I didn't go to Iolani school. I'm so much different now that I'm in high school. I definitely have grown from when I was in intermediate until now. And I think that part of the reason is because of all the opportunities that I have. And especially, you're here, our class advisor.
Yeah.
You were there to help me whenever I needed someone to, look over my English papers, or, if I forgot something at home, you'd be the one that I would go to, to go and get that thing for me. And I appreciate you for that, first of all. And you definitely helped me to maximize everything at Iolani. And you were the one, really, that pushed me to get out of my comfort zone and to apply myself, all across this campus. First in fair, and then in everything else, And I feel like because of these different things, these different experiences that I've had, and also because of all the leadership things that I've done, I really learned prioritization. But, if I didn't have that, if I didn't have this Iolani experience, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. And I'm just so grateful for everything that this school has given me.
Ryan, we're going to talk about the many things that you're involved in here through the course of this interview podcast. but I have a general question, kind of along those same lines. Where do you get the energy? Like, we've established that it's been worth it. It's been a lot of hard work. Like, where do you get that drive and that energy and time to do all these things at a high level?
I think I do so much for the school, but in a way, every single person on this campus gives so much to me. You know, you plan all these events, you know, whether it's fair or whether it be, you know, on the football field, you know, you're prepping to do all these things. I mean, you're playing for your team, you're playing for yourself, but really you're playing for the whole school. And I think that there's that symbiotic relationship, you know, like, I'm going to put in the work, I'm going to do this, I'm going to spend all this time for lunches, you know, homerooms on this event. But really, the event would not matter if it wasn't for the people. I think that, you know, everything that I do, when I see how happy people are and how much they appreciate the experiences that they have because of the things that I've done and that I've sacrificed so much time for, it definitely gives me happiness. You know, it gives me energy. It gives me a reason to, you know, sacrifice so much.
So, Ryan, what has the 13-year journey been like for you?
I think that my journey has definitely been a long one. I would say that, you know, when we were younger, it definitely went by a lot slower. But once we hit 7th grade, man, that picked up, and now I'm a senior, and I'm going to graduate this year. But I did like how our grade kind of has evolved in a way. You know, like, I grew up with 70 classmates, and now I'm surrounded by 200 something. And every single person has grown. But, you know, the sons and daughters definitely have that special connection from when we were younger. And I think that, you know, we connect on that level because we grew up together. You know, we're surrounded by this environment. But I definitely do think that the place that we were growing up definitely has shaped us into, you know, being successful young adults and being able to go off to college and being prepared for all the responsibility that it's going to have on us, you know.
Lisa, what has it been like as a parent, the 13-year journey?
Well, the same thing as the question that I asked Ryan, was it worth it? And beyond a shadow of a doubt, even if you ask my husband, we will both say everything we've been through, all the levels of sacrifice, and I'm getting emotional, is we look at Ryan and it's been 110%, 200% worth it. And, you know, when Ryan was talking about, say he forgot something. So there's a specific story that this kind of reminds me of. And I was at Iolani still teaching, and Ryan had forgotten basketball shoes. I get in my car at Iolani High School, and it's my prep bed. I'm like, okay, I can make it happen. I can get to Iolani. I can drop it off. I can come back. And I literally did it.
Legally?
Okay.
Legally. Speed limit. No tickets.
Good job.
And I made it happen because of the fact that he needed it. And also, I'm sure, like, of the listeners that are listening, and I'm sure that a number of them are parents of Iolani or prospective parents of Iolani, that whatever it takes, you're willing to do. And I've been asked a couple times where we have accepted families who come and they come and meet us. Like, say, for example, it's like at the ice cream social. And, you know, as a parent, I was asked. As a teacher for 7th grade, I've been asked. And it was so interesting. Just in the fall, there was a couple. And when you talk about divine timing, and everything is divine timing, I believe, in terms of this place and our family, is I'm walking by and I see this woman, a husband and wife, and the tour guide, and something is compelling me to talk to this family. And I'm all the way by the attendance office, by the mailboxes, and there by the senior benches. I don't know what it is. So I go all the way across on the grass and I start to talk to this family and about the school. And this is for kindergarten. So our kindergarten prospective family.
Yeah.
And I just start sharing with them, and they had questions, and the mom was like asking questions like, we live in Iolani, and I'm like, girl, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And we just had this great talk, and she said, you know, this morning I prayed and I said, is this going to be a place for our family? And it's like, and you're here. And I'm like, 110%. It is worth whatever it is. They had questions about the private buses. I shared that because Ryan caught bus for kindergarten at the beginning. And then my husband didn't want him to catch the bus, and he literally drove him from Kunia to this school, dropped him off, and drove all the way back to be the vice principal of Kapolei Middle School. This is the level we're at. So to see your child and what it is that potential and that dream that you have for your child. And this might sound like a commercial, guys. And I've convinced so many people to come to this school for their family, is to now he's a 12th grader. Everything's coming to fruition right now. We're in the midst of his college acceptance season, and to just see all my seniors and what they're going through and how they're navigating this process, which is an extremely difficult, and like they have to persevere, just coming to school to persevere, but yet looking for the next place. What's the next home for them?
Yeah.
And to see it. And if you ask the class of 22 parents, they will tell you, if we had to do it again, we would do it again in a heartbeat. So that's my very long answer to your question. Sorry.
It not sounded like a commercial because you did it in the way that you are, you know, it's authentic, the genuineness and in your voice. Thank you for doing that.
Thanks.
And people do say quite often when they come on the tour, the people at Iolani are very nice. The students look them in the eye and say good morning and whatnot, and people come up and ask questions and share. That's what it's like here on campus.
The one more thing, in that same time talking to this family, Ryan happened to be there, and I saw him. And I was talking about
you said, "Hey, Ryan,
I'm
get
like,
over
Ryan,
here."
get over here. And he came over,
Yeah.
and they were asking him questions from a student perspective.
Wow.
And to watch your child like speak, and it's just very meaningful and powerful. And they looked at each other, and they're like, "This is the place." And I'm like, it is, you know, and I really hope it works out for that family. And if this family comes to our school, oh my gosh, how powerful is that?
That's amazing because you brought over a young man, and in their minds, they're thinking he was once 5 years old.
Yes.
Yeah. So awesome. So we're here. We are doing this interview in Castle Building, room 211. Your home away from home.
Yes.
I've been here before during your classes, and I have to say that your persona is the same inside and outside of the class, and I just love that. Just like when you thought you were doing a commercial for the school. No, that was authentic. It was genuine. It was Lisa and Tsuruda doing her thing, and I think it comes across for your students. I think that I see that connection, and I know that you do as well. Has it always been that way with you?
Yes, without a doubt.
It wasn't like when you were an early teacher, you came in and you were the teacher, and you've always been.
Never. This is really who I am. And I mean, so much of myself is tied to teaching. That even, my husband was asking me recently, and he was asking me, when are you going to retire, Lisa? And my answer,
what?
Yes. When am I going to retire? And I said, when we become grandparents. And then and I'm so excited, and not necessarily, I mean, Ethan, so my older son, he's in California right now. We're not sure, is he going to stay in California? Will he come back? But he really loves the Big Island. But so more or less, I'm kind of thinking rye maybe, but my whole expectation and excitement is, oh my gosh, I can't wait to have grandma school where I'm going to have my school and I'm going to have my grandchild, and my husband is probably going to be like the sports, like PE person.
Okay.
And I'll be doing the academic things. And we're so lucky because my mother-in-law for over 30 years was a kindergarten teacher in the DOE, and it was grammar school with Ryan. So before he went to preschool at the children's house, it was grammar school. So, I mean, that's the thing that I look forward to, is that because in teaching where I'm at right now, it's like I have reached a pinnacle in terms of my teaching. I mean, the only other thing is sharing my mana'o with people who want to become teachers. That's another passion that I have. So other than that, yep, grammar school coming up. Yeah.
Awesome. Ryan, do other students tell you stories about your mom?
Oh, all the time. Especially when we were in 7th and 8th grade, because she taught not all of them, but most of my classmates. And I just remember that, as you've said, they grew up with Auntie Lisa, because most of them knew them when I was growing up. And they had Auntie Lisa basically as an English teacher, except, she laid the foundation for everything that they were going to need, growing up. And I think that you definitely changed some of their lives for sure.
For sure. Like, I think I do a passion project. It's the final project that I do for my 7th graders, which I did at Iolani High School. In fact, I strongly believe that was one of the reasons why I won the Milken, because I developed the senior project for the whole state of Hawaii, and I piloted the project. But it was getting me to think about it, that in 7th grade, I had Celine Carr, if you're familiar with Celine Carr.
Yeah.
And she is, oh my gosh, a phenomenal songwriter, singer. And she had always been an amazing singer. In 7th grade, she was like, I want to try songwriting. And she had never done that. So the project allowed her to research it very deeply, and she wrote songs about herself and one of her really dear friends who does not live in Hawaii. And she started to take guitar and ukulele. And now when I stand back 6 years later and she's coming out with albums, with phenomenal music and catchy tunes. I mean, I'm listening to her Christmas song, guys.
Yeah.
Original Christmas songs.
Yeah.
And watching her play ukulele online. And I know that, oh my gosh, that came from that project. Very powerful.
So awesome. Yeah, Red Beat.
Red Beat. That's
out.
right.
Who will be Cinderella in the upcoming spring musical.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
Those class of 2022 members first knew you as Ryan's mom.
Yes.
And that's what they say down there. Ryan's mom, hi, and then maybe Auntie Lisa later.
Mm-hmm. And
then you started working here in 2016.
Yeah.
And so, look, Ryan's mom is our teacher.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was always involved at the school, and some people thought I was already teaching at this school, and they didn't know I wasn't teaching at this school.
Well, you were delivering the basketball shoes.
Correct. Correct. Or just anytime they needed volunteers. I spent many years when Ryan was in lower school and I was on vacation, and both of my sons came to summer school here, and I volunteered my time with the lower school library. I was helping to run their scholastic book fair. So for many years, I just, volunteered. And then one day it's like, oh, don't you want to teach summer school here? I was like, wait a minute, is this an option? And that started my journey in teaching middle schoolers, because I had no experience teaching middle schoolers until then, because 100% of my career, I taught specifically 12th grade. So seniors in AP literature and composition. So it's a different vibe. It is a different speed, but my 7th graders will attest that I teach basically AP 7th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which helps them as they get older. So it's good.
Very cool. So Ryan, this was your school.
Mm-hmm.
Iolani School was where Ryan Tsuruda went to school. And then Lisa Ann Tsuruda came a few years later. What was that like when your mom started working here?
as I've said, I definitely appreciated when she came because, man, growing up, I was a very irresponsible kid. I think like every couple weeks, man, I would lose my jacket, my shoes. I wouldn't pack PE clothes, and then you didn't have to drive like 20 miles in order to get me.
Is that
But
why there's a big wagon over there
oh
with
yeah,
a bunch
that
of bags
has
and
all of my
containers?
extra stuff in there.
Yeah.
No, but I think like when she did come, it was kind of like a learning curve. Usually before she would just be mom, and dad would drop me off, and then I would see you at home. But then now it's like I see you every single day, especially when I was younger, every single day, and it was definitely we had to learn how to change our relationship now that we would be spending so much time together. And I think that you definitely saw that I had potential, that I could do so much more. And back in middle school, I didn't necessarily see that in myself yet. And I think you really had to drill that in to me. And once I bought in to you, I think I definitely took off from there. But yeah, when we were growing up in middle school, me and mom would definitely beef a little bit.
Oh yeah.
She would yell at me in front of all my friends. I'd
Oh.
be so embarrassed, and some of my friends could definitely say that you yelled at me in front of them. So
Yeah.
but we have an amazing relationship.
We do, son.
You're the class advisor, as we mentioned a little while ago. What goes into that? Like we hear that
my
most of
gosh.
us aren't really in the
Oh my gosh.
in those
Like,
meetings, and
to be a class advisor, I mean, you have to be really interested, you have to be energetic, or have these really great ideas that sometimes really you have to be a little crazy.
what you also have to be as a class advisor is you have to be stern sometimes. I heard
Sometimes.
it was just a couple of weeks ago that little birdie told me, well, Lisa, she had to get after it with the seniors in the
Yeah.
gym,
Yeah.
during homeroom.
So,
Ryan,
yeah.
you're one of the seniors. You're sitting in the bleachers. You've got everybody around you. What's that like when she's kind of laying down the law?
Honestly, I see her when she's talking to the seniors, and I don't necessarily see my mom, because she is the class advisor.
Yeah.
She has a time and a place for when she's stern on me and then when she's stern on the class, right? Because she wants the class to be great, just like me. But when she's talking to everyone, I'm just like looking at her and I'm like, oh my God, that's literally my mom. Like sometimes I can't believe it, but
And she's probably right.
yeah,
She probably needs to say what she's saying.
she did,
Yeah.
Sometimes myself and everyone needs to get reminded, on why we do things, and that, we're seniors, it's not time to slack yet. There's so much more that we can accomplish and so many things that we still need to do. And that's why I appreciate my mom so much when she does that for me, because sometimes I'm not necessarily always on it, and she does that for me, and then I get a reminder, and then I'm like, I know exactly why I'm here, and that's why when she does it for my whole class, I just sit back and I'm like, now you guys know how I feel at home or in the car ride when she's yelling at me, But it's like, I love you, so that's why
Yeah.
it's okay.
And I mean, and that was the thing. Like, I could be yelling at them, but it's because the expectation and who they are. So, like, I'm starting a new hashtag, like Iolani 2022 Senior Excellence, because it's not over until it's over. And I told them, until Duval and I let you go to walk into the morning light on June 5th, after graduation and project grad, it's like it's not over until it's over. And I'm on them, and then I'm like, getting after it. But then at the end, I'm like, we love you. Then at the end, we love you very much. And that's how we sign off all of our emails to the senior class. It's like love, Duval and Auntie Lisa. And, you know, and it's very much a family thing. And they all know that the way that we look at them is these are our children. They're not just our students. They're not just our charges. They are our children. And that's how the 22 parents look at each other's children. So, for example, if Ryan was doing something and another parent was around, for example, Auntie Judy Nako, oh, whatever she would do, I'd be totally fine with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of like how it is.
Yeah, Auntie Judy Nako is one of the parents in my daughter's class too.
Oh,
so.
yes. I mean, and she's Ohana, our Ohana rep.
Yeah.
So she, Stacy Jimon,
Yes.
Lee Joseph. I mean, to end with those three is very special.
Yeah, Stacy is also a parent in my daughter's grade. But
Awesome.
I like what you said too. You said June 5th, and it's not over till it's over.
Right.
Graduation is on the 4th.
You're right.
And then the night continues, and it turns into the early morning.
You're right.
June 5th.
Like, I'm going to be a mess. Like, I am going to be crying so hard, guys. Like, going to be crying. And there's a whole thing about me crying because I cry every single day pretty much of the senior year. And it's like, did you cry today? And I'm just looking at them like,
4 times.
yeah, like 4 times or whatever. And I guess it's that idea because when I look at each of them, they're seniors. They're 17 and 18 years old. But to me, they're also 5 and 6. So it's that, you know, that overlap and that juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What we're talking about is leadership. And,
Yeah.
and both of you are leaders. Ryan, I know leadership is important to you. You've got a 4-page resume, and it kind of starts off, you're talking about leadership. What have you learned in the different roles that you've had? We're going to talk about sports, football. You're one of 4 co-captains on the state championship football team. You're one of 3 proconsuls here. You're doing so many things. What have you learned about leadership, or what do you like about leadership?
I definitely think that leadership is there's just something so like refreshing about being able to make genuine change in your community. And I think that, you know, being a person or being a student at Iolani, you definitely have so many opportunities to make change, you know, by talking to your peers, talking to your teachers, and then it goes all the way up. But I think that when you are in positions where you can genuinely make choices, you know, that affect other people and affect events that are being planned, you know, I think that there's just something so special about that. And I think it definitely taught me so much about time management, about how to communicate, how to speak effectively in front of people, how to be confident, how to show that you're confident even if you might not be, you know. And I think that while leadership, the position of it itself, you know, is very, very special, but really all the work that's being put into getting there and staying in that position and, you know, really, you know, sacrificing a lot to do that. It's just so helpful for me because I'm going to go to college and it's not going to be, you know, all fun and games all the time. I'm not going to be able to hang out with my friends all the time. I'm going to have to be able to make these adult choices. Yeah. And I think that leadership definitely has primed me and prepared me in no other way that I think I would have had if it wasn't for leadership.
Leadership is also something that we saw during the football season. And not in the sense that the team won 11-0. Not in the sense that the team outscored its opponents in the state tournament 59-0. Not in that sense. In the sense that the leaders, the team, the captains, of which you are, won. The coaches, Coach Look, the assistant coaches, from that leadership, keeping everybody together through the longest season that there has ever been. Mm-hmm. In any sport, in any place. I mean, that must have been amazing. I mean, we could go over kind of the nuts and bolts of how that unfolded, but let's just skip over that and just that people have to understand that there were 200 practices
Yep.
during this process. And 11 games and one scrimmage, inter-squad scrimmage. But that's not what football teams go through. And that's not across different seasons and whatnot. So when we look back at that, the leadership from the coaches and the students, super important and super, not for the sake of trophies, but I think learning. That experience of going through all that. We started out with Lisa, you asked him, was it worth it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think we know the answer regarding football.
Oh, yeah.
But Ryan, what is the takeaway? We know that it was worth it, but what's the takeaway from that long season and getting there? Did you guys always know that was going to happen? No.
No.
Right?
Not at all.
Not at all, right? We don't know what the next day brings. So kind of take us through that process and staying together and how you guys accomplished it.
Yeah, I think that over the course of our, as you said, 2-year season, we really grew a lot. I think that if you asked any of the seniors or any of the players in the beginning, like if we were going to be so good, I don't think any of us would have said that we were. We definitely had to put in a lot of work. We had to put in so much time and trust in one another in order to get to the place that we were, basically. And I think that it all kind of just stems from the trust that we have in one another. In football, there's 11 players on the field at one time on your team. And one person won't make the difference on whether or not your team is successful, right? All 11 players have to be in sync on the same wavelength with one another and trust that the person next to you is going to do their job, right? Because if you try to do too much, you try to go outside of the boundary of what your role entails on the football field, right? Errors are going to happen, holes are going to be created, and that's why, some teams give up so much points, right? And I think that over the extended season, we grew closer than any other team that I've been on in the past. Because we've all on that team, we've all been through so much in that we were all there for those 200 something practices every single day. We're out there running for one another. And if one person misses the time, one person doesn't touch the line on conditioning, all 40 something of us is going to be doing up downs, is going to be running extra laps. So we know that I trust you to condition and to be ready and to run for one another, and just that experience in and of itself, as well as, us being brothers, like genuinely loving each other. It just had an impact on all of us because we trust one another, and it definitely showed when we had to play.
A question I have, Rai, for you is maybe for any of our listeners, what is Iolani football? What is that? Because I don't think that's what everything else is for other people. What is that? How would you define that?
Yeah, I think that, Iolani football is definitely, I would say, a different experience than any sport on this campus, but also any football team, in Hawaii. Like, Iolani players, we're undersized in height, weight, skill. We might not necessarily all be like D1 recruits, but
And roster size.
And roster size.
Yeah.
I mean, we were starting freshmen and sophomores who never even been in the Iolani program for even 1 year, before they started playing. But because we don't have those things, those natural gifts, we really have to buy in to, as you said, the Iolani program. And the question is, like, what is that? And it's really just, as I've been saying, a trust in the plans that the coaches are proposing, because you might not understand it in the beginning because it's different from any other scheme that other teams may have run, but it's tailored towards what we have, which is speed and just being able to gang tackle other teams. So you really have to buy in to the whole one team thing. Because if you don't and you try to be an individual on this team, you're not going to be successful. And if one person doesn't buy in, the whole thing falls down.
So these pictures I'm going to show you happen within a matter of seconds. So let me just paint the picture. So we're playing Lahaina Luna for the state championship. Won. And Lahaina Luna's getting their runner-up trophy.
Oh, yeah.
And the Iolani team is lined up. And then so the championship trophy is coming out, and it's going to be presented to the team captains in a few seconds. This picture, Ryan, is of you and your teammates. You have a unique expression on your face. You seem to me to be thinking about something, thinking about just the long road, tears of happiness.
Yeah.
It's maybe Lisa, you're an English teacher. You have a lot of words. How would you explain? Because people can't see the picture, but I love this picture. How would you describe your son's face?
I would describe Ryan's face as he's trying to imprint the moment.
Yeah.
That it's something that, and it's not like a passing moment, but it's something that he will always have.
Yeah.
And it's something for him to call up and call forth when he's presented, say, for example, for any other long road ahead for himself.
Ryan, do you remember that? Do you remember that moment?
I remember this. I just remember the buzzer went off, and I just started crying. It's like so much emotions flowed out of me at that moment. I didn't think that I was going to start crying after, winning the game. Like last year, Hilo, like that makes sense.
Yeah.
You put in so much work,
Yeah.
you don't succeed, that's what happens. But this time, it's definitely tears of joy, but it's also tears of, a realization that you have a goal that you set, and there's a plan. You're going to work for that goal every single day, week in, week out, and you actually obtaining that goal.
Yeah. They bring out those trophies. And then this is seconds later, you and Brody Bantalina sharing a moment. The tears are now moving into another phase. Lisa, can you describe what's happening now?
I think in this picture too is that for Ryan and Brody to look at each other, and they've been through the program together for 6 years. And there's a group of them that have been in it ever since 7th grade here at Iolani. And it's like, we did it.
Yeah.
We did it. We are here.
Two of the team captains, and then the two others. Here's the last picture I'll show you. Sterling Sakashita and Rain Posse as the four of you head out, and now big, wide smiles.
Yep. And it's just so many emotions.
Yeah. Just in those matter of seconds, I think you experienced a world of emotion.
It was definitely thrilling. As I've said, you put in so much work with your brothers, being successful, been the one in Lahaina Luna's shoes before. And, having that promise to not only yourselves, but all the ones that came before you and all the ones that are going to come in the future. And to just really set that expectation for Iolani football. I think that we definitely bought into the Iolani one team spirit this year. And I think in this moment, it's like, it proves that it works and that all you have to do is buy in. And hopefully, the underclassmen that's going to be seniors next year, I hope they do the same thing that we did and they have the same bond that we shared.
So awesome. I mean, just incredible. And then that evening, Coach Look was emotional. He was doing interviews and he told the media about what happened earlier that day at chapel, where the team and he was very adamant. He said it was them. It was the team. It was the players. They came up with the idea of we're not just playing for ourselves. And Ryan, I'll let you explain who were you also playing for?
Yeah. So every time before a game, we have chapel where we're really just giving each other advice, on what to think about and what not to worry about when you're in that game. But as you've said, before the championship game, we knew we were ready. So there really was nothing to say about us. But I think in that moment, we just had such a deep appreciation for the opportunities that we were given. Last year, Shayden Molino, Wilo Emmanuel, they didn't have a season. They were the ones who should have had that opportunity. They deserved it. They put in so much work over the off season, and to have that stripped away from you, it was heartbreaking, and I wasn't even the one who was in their shoes. So in that moment, we definitely was not just thinking about ourselves. We didn't want to be selfish in that moment. We wanted to share this experience with those people that definitely would have been in the same place that we were. And they taught us so much, right? Like, they were the ones who brought us up, and they kind of shaped us, molded us into the one team philosophy, and gave us all these skills that we had. And I just remember that once we won, and we were holding that trophy up, and we turned around, and we saw all of those alumni out there on the field, and we just ran to them. We had the trophy in our hands, but we gave it to the ones who we were playing for. It was just such an emotional time.
You guys were forcing it on them.
Yeah.
You say gave, but you're like, here, you hold it. And they're like, no, this is, you guys want it, right? And like, no, hold it. Forcing it upon them. That was awesome. And so people seeing that from the outside wouldn't know. They would think those are your classmates. They look about the same age. But, Coach Luke was explaining to the media, said they won it for them. Last year's seniors. And he got emotional, and rightfully so, because that, again, is a generous pursuit to do something for others. And it speaks to one team. So Coach Luke, not everybody sees that certain side of him, that he cares. He cares a great deal about his players. Can you share me any insight into that thing that people don't see from Coach Wendell Luke?
Yeah, from the outside, I mean, most of the people would just see him as, that one coach that's yelling, yelling at us, yelling at, his assistant coaches, because just like Mom, he's yelling because he knows we can be better. He knows that we're not doing our job. He has to remind us of, what we're supposed to be doing. But, in practice, he's still yelling at us. Don't get me wrong. He is.
I know.
But he definitely, he speaks to us, and he definitely tapped not into the emotional side, but into the brotherly side. He's our mentor, but he also kind of was the one who got us to be a family. And I remember that he called a captain's meeting. And in the beginning of the season, he told us that the four of us have to create a personality for our team. And, when he's talking to us like adults. He's not yelling at us. He knows that we're old enough and we're mature enough to, he's going to give us a task, and we're going to have to, he's giving us the responsibility to follow through with that. And, we didn't have an answer on that day. But over the course of the season, we definitely, as I've said before, we just became that family. And that, because once we started, playing for each other instead of ourselves, it definitely affected how our relationship was with each other and how successful we were. But it wouldn't have happened, if Coach Look didn't talk to us like adults. He does that to everyone.
It also wouldn't have happened, Ryan, if the four of you didn't carry that out. Because coaches and teachers, and I see, your mom's nodding her head, they can talk all they want and draw stuff up on the whiteboard. But that has to be modeled by people, by leaders, captains of the team, seniors and whatnot. Modeling that kind of behavior, leading by example. So thank you for that. Lisa.
Yes.
I said 11-0. I said 59-0 in the state championship. That doesn't paint the picture of what a football game or football as a sport is like. What is it like from the parent perspective? Seeing your son and his friends, some of them you've known since kindergarten, out there playing a really physical sport.
It's so interesting, guys, because growing up, my husband and I never foresaw football in Ryan's future at all.
Wow.
He was
Well, basketball was your first love, right?
Because basketball was his sport.
Yeah.
But we were looking at football to help Ryan be more physical in basketball.
Oh, okay.
But the thing that's interesting is that Ryan chose football for himself. And that's the key, right? And then once this is what your child wants to do, doesn't care that it's super hot outside, you're wearing a helmet, and if anyone knows that when you're on the Eddie K. Hamada, you're on the field, you're baking, people. You're super hot until the sun passes behind those buildings.
Yeah. But, we're not in the mountains.
We're not in the mountains, right? So the amount of sacrifice that you see your child go through, but your child chooses to do this, you cannot help but support this. And the football families are just, as the kids are football, like a football team, Iolani football family, the fam is very different than any of these other sports per se, because we really do support each other 110%. It's not about our son getting so many tackles. It's not about this or that. It's that we celebrate, we elevate each of the kids. Whether it's the boys, Allison, who, oh my gosh, she is phenomenal, and she has inspired. Ali Chang has inspired a whole group of girls who are younger and who are totally looking at kicking for the intermediate team.
Yeah, there were four of them on the intermediate team. Yeah.
So she's starting a legacy herself. But lots of prayers, guys, lots of prayers, and just looking at what the team has gone through, and it's like each game, each step, seeing them more in sync. But I will tell you, JT, I did 4 rosaries, right? I'm Catholic, and I'm hardcore doing rosaries, praying through the entire game. Addie Kim is wearing a rosary. Like, we are just there and just willing and lending our support. And I'm sure that our crowd, that Raider Nation, they are just sending out the love that they have for our team. And even if they hadn't won the game, that love and that support would not lessen by one iota.
Do you ever get used to looking out there and seeing Aya and Lahaina Luna and their players, huge players?
Oh, huge.
They're about...
With 72 players, yeah.
But they're lining up about 4 yards away from your son.
Yes. But, as the years have gone by, there is no fear.
Yeah, cool.
Like, we are not afraid for our son because we know our son can do it, and he will do it, and he did do it. So it's like, but sometimes when you hear and when you read comments, and I don't look at comments because I know I would be very upset. But if you read comments and they're saying things such as they need to go up a division, it could be either they don't see what we see, or there's an illusion of some sort, but our kids are a certain height, certain weight, certain number. But that's not their story. Their story is they're great because of the one team philosophy and
Yeah.
the ethos.
Yeah, don't read the comments.
Don't read the
Ryan,
comments.
you look like you have something to interject.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask. I guess I didn't really think about the fact that you was afraid for my life.
No, I wasn't.
No, I know. But
Yeah.
when I was
Shouldn't say
growing
that.
up, when I was
Oh.
growing up, though, like, I've always been your child, and you've always been my parent,
Yeah.
and I feel like it must have been so scary for you
It-
when I was, in seventh grade, and I'm playing linebacker as an undersized kid, lined up against these huge guys. Like, how did you control yourself and let me do what I wanted to do?
Well, it's trust, and the thing is, it's just the joy and the love that I see in you, that you are willing to do this, right? I mean, the scariest game to me, I forget what grade you were. I think you were seventh grade, and we played St. Francis here at our school. I mean, that was the most insane game ever.
They were really
They
big.
were huge. They were huge and quick, very
looked like a
physical.
varsity team.
Oh yeah, very physical. And we were very afraid. So there's a lot of prayers going on. But the thing is, as you're talking about it, Ryan, it's that trust. That because you trust the coaches, we as the parents, we give our children, our precious children, to these coaches, and they understand the magnitude of that, and that what they create, the family they create, is profound. So that program, the Iolani football program, it is about football, but it's more than that. It's about character development through the game of football. And to look at you guys at the end, and you're coming out, you're going to be adults. What an impact it has. And then all these skills that you learn, even if you never pick up a football again, it's the idea that all these gifts and these ideas have been honed within you and for all of you on the team. And we don't have to worry. I mean, the level of physical fear for you, that went away, I think, probably in ninth grade. At that point, then it was like, no, you got this. And if not, you're going to strive until you do get it.
Wow.
That's what I noticed.
Great answer.
Love you, son. Love you, son.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So Ryan, you're a hybrid,
Yeah.
and there's a bunch of hybrids on the field. Does it help in that sense that there's a bunch of guys like you? You're not just one person that's undersized playing. Sometimes put your hand in the ground, lineman. Sometimes drop back. Sometimes, mostly for you, I think, kind of in that what people would look at as a middle linebacker type role. But is there a comfort level in that there's there's a bunch of you out there in the same boat?
Yeah, I definitely think that there is that comfort. We're all basically playing kind of like the same role, especially on defense. We're all kind of playing the same role in that we're all around the same size. We're all very fast, but we're all very physical. And it's just, especially because we're so low in numbers, and kind of because of that, we all have to be ready. If one person goes down, it affects the whole defense, right? And that even if you're a lineman, you have to be ready just in case to be playing linebacker. Or for me, somebody on the line goes down, I might have to go down and play line. And I think that just having that versatility, again, it is kind of crazy thinking back at it and how much we kind of played in different roles on the team. But I mean, ultimately, it's just following, what Coach Delbert Tangon put out for us, and just knowing that if I go down, I know that there's going to be somebody there to take my spot.
You also participate in track and field. And last year, you guys won the first ILH team title since 1999.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you specifically about the relay. And the team, the sprinters who also did some jumps and whatnot. The points came from everywhere, but the sprint core was obviously a key in the league title. You, Wailoa, Brody, Noah. Talk to me about the teamwork of a relay. And I'll kind of paint this picture. Okay, not everybody is so in tune with track and field. But what we're talking about here is the 4x100 relay. So if you go out to the track, if you see any track, typically 400-meter track, these guys are getting a baton around the track in 43 seconds, 0.79. So under 44 seconds to run and pass the baton. And passing the baton is not an easy thing at that speed. Talk to me a little bit about teamwork. That's teamwork.
It is genuinely the most team-oriented part of track and field, I think, is the relays. And, it lasts less than a minute, right? So you don't see all the work that's put in to that pass, right? But we practice those passes like so many times. Like per practice, I think we do at least 10 to 15 passes, and for people who don't watch track and field, when you pass the 4x1 baton, you're not looking at the baton.
Yeah.
You're basically, you see your partner running up on you, and you just have to run, stick your hand out, and, he's going to put it in to your hand. So because you're not able to have that visual, communication, you kind of have to practice that timing. And again, there's so much trust in that. There's this window of steps that you have to wait for until you leave, right? Because the whole object of like passing the baton is to never let the speed ever wane, right? Because you want to pass it when he's at 100% and when you're at 100% speed. So every step counts. And for example, Brody Bensalina, right? He's literally so fast.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And we practice our steps. And, sometimes people run a lot faster when you're in the race. But when you see that, you can't leave any earlier, right? Because if you leave any earlier, then the pass might get mixed up and it's not going to be as good, and you're going to have to slow down, and that affects your time. So he has to trust me that I'm not going to leave early, and I have to trust him that he's not going to run up on me.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of mind communication going on in this, and this has to happen 3 times because there's 4 people running.
Yeah. And it has to happen in the zone for people that don't know track and field.
Yeah.
So the pass has to happen in that zone.
Yeah.
And when we're thinking about this, not one person can run around the track in 43.79, right? Because they can't maintain that 100-meter speed.
Mm-hmm. So
to your point, everybody is almost running their 100-meter time.
Yeah. And I
But
think
to coordinate that is insane. And some people might think, have seen the Olympics or whatnot. It's not the 4x4 pass, which is not a blind pass, right? So this is a blind pass at full speed and not easy.
I think it's interesting that the 4 runners, football players, so this level of trust that they have in each other, they already have that in each other. So I think that helped a lot.
And we were the same, 4x1 team that we were in 8th grade. We practically have been doing the same pass for 5 years.
Okay.
Just knowing that we have this bond because of all the time that we've spent, passing this baton around the track hundreds of times. it definitely contributed a lot to how successful we were, because I know for a fact I'm not one of the fastest guys, but that pass can take off so much time off of your final time, and it's just that having that relationship with one another, it definitely made us a lot faster. So yeah, that team element is very important, even in track and field.
Absolutely. So Ryan, you spent some time as a teacher this past summer in the lower school.
Mhm.
So listen intently. I'm going to talk to your mom about teaching, and you might pick up on some things, and you might have a question as well. Lisa, in terms of teaching, has it always been English for you?
No, it became, well, teaching and my love of teaching was always since I was 5. So that's all I've ever wanted to be, was a teacher. When it crystallized to be English, specifically, it was because of a teacher. So I myself understand the power of a teacher, and that if there's a teacher who's interested in you, sees something in you, and brings that out of you, is very powerful. So my teacher was Mrs. Margaret Helen Wood, and I had her 9th grade and 12th grade. So I saw her at the beginning of high school and at the ending of high school. And my 2 favorite books are Pride and Prejudice, which she taught me in 12th grade, and Tale of Two Cities, which she taught me in 9th grade. And it was how to look at literature, how to unlock literature, and to understand that for each of us, it's very different, our interpretation, but can we back it up? So that's the same thing that I do with my students, and coming back again with AP 7th grade, that my students are like, we're only in 7th grade. And I'm like, no, you can do this. And it's that belief and that interest in my students, is that I believe that I'm perpetuating her legacy. And for me, teaching is legacy. That is my word for that.
Where do you get your enthusiasm, your energy?
Again, I think because just like class advisorship, it's this passion that you have for it. And I have a true passion for kids. I just love kids. And when I was in the DOE, I was approached a number of times if I was interested to go into administration. And I always said, nope, because I understand my gift and my strength is in kids. And also being involved in them outside of the classroom, whether that is intermediate speech, helping with the eobotics for their presentations. When I was in the DOE, I did Leo Club, I did Skills USA. So I mean, many different things, and just working with kids and helping them reach their potential. I mean, that's it. And that's where I get my energy from. It's like, it's never the same. Even if I teach the same novel almost 30 times, 30 years. This is my 29th year in teaching. It's still new and it's still fresh.
How is that possible, really? I mean,
I think, well, because even though kids are kids,
yeah,
it's different kinds of kids, because the way the world is now is very different than the 90s, than the 80s, right? I mean, even 10 years ago, it's very different, the speed of things. But what remains is being able to communicate, whether that's through a written modality or speaking modality, reading, writing, right? So also the other thing that's really interesting for me, like they always talk about rigor, relevance, and relationships in terms of teaching. Like these are the 3 things. For me, hands down, is relationships. Because the content that I teach my kids might not be what's memorable, but it's how they unlocked it, and it's that idea of being seen, things like that. You cannot take that away. And it's the relationships and it's the connections that you build. So I have students who they're in their 40s now, and their kids are in college and things like that. And I get, in fact, okay, can I share this? I don't know if it's an Iolani minute, but can I share a minute with you?
Yeah.
Which just happened about 3 days ago.
Oh, wow.
So I get a telephone call from Mel Wakita, the wonderful voice of Iolani.
Aloha, Iolani School.
Aloha, yes. And she calls me and she's like, Lisa, you have a visitor. No, we have a closed campus, and I'm just like, who's visiting me, you know? And she goes, this person says that he's a former student. And I'm like, what? And then she's like, his name is Alvin. And immediately I'm like, is it Alvin or is it him? And she's like, how do you know this, right? And I had him at Waianae High School. And he was on campus and he wanted to just check in with me and things. And I go there and I was able to introduce Ryan to him. So I took him to the senior benches because I wanted him to meet Ryan. Okay. And I mean, he's an adult now and he was always into golf. And I'm like, is there some golf at Iolani in your future kind of a thing? And so he's just been hired as a assistant coach for the boys golf team. Oh. And he's been playing golf his whole time and just a phenomenal golfer. And he was like on the mainland and his wife also is a golfer. And so he told me that he's coming home, but so many years has passed by, but he's like, I want to tell you, you have made an impact on my life. And I'm getting emotional again, but you've made an impact on my life. Many of the things that I do today and the way I work with my students is the same way you worked with me. And for him, there were certain times where it was like, our boy, come on, let's go. And you can't give up on a kid. And then that's what he's telling me. Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for helping me. And he's so excited to be back home in Hawaii and for him to share his mana'o and his gifts. And it's really nice that he's going to share it here at Iolani School. So I'm really happy and thrilled about that.
It's amazing the impact that teachers can make.
I mean,
it's like a tree, right?
Positive
There's
and negative, right? Positive and negative. Yeah. So it is like a tree. And I mean, what profession is there that impacts the most people, has the most profound and lasting effects, if not teaching?
Yeah, agree. Can you tell me what your favorite part of teaching at Iolani is?
My favorite part of teaching at Iolani is, especially since I teach 7th grade, is to see when the fire ignites, when they get it, when they're like, oh my gosh, I can use this for anything. And I'm like, yes, you can use these tools for interpretation for anything. You can do anything. You can dream anything. And you have the tools.
Ryan, you were a teaching assistant in the lower school this past summer. I'd imagine with the kids, you were, kind of an engineering class, you saw that fire light quite a few times when they got something. What does that feel like?
It's honestly so amazing to see how happy and how in wonder these kids can be about, for me as a senior, simple things. But these kids can be just so happy, about building a structure out of, spaghetti sticks and marshmallows. And it's like, you can physically see in the expressions on their face, their eyes light up. And their neurons are firing when they're able to create new inventions for them and figure out new engineering concepts. And I think that it definitely put me in a new perspective on life. I think that sometimes when you get older, you definitely aren't as happy in the sense of, there's so much more stresses when you're older, and just you might not appreciate all of the great things that are in your life. And I think that when I saw as a TA, I saw them having so much fun and finding so much joy in just the little things. It definitely changed my perspective on how I should be living and how I should appreciate every single moment that I have. But, as my mom said, when you impose this knowledge on people and they're going to know this concept for the rest of their life, it definitely takes your breath away. Like just being able to change someone's life, because I know that my life was changed, and I know when the course of my life has changed, and I'm just so appreciative of these moments. And I think that my mom has changed so many people's lives, and I hope that my experience with the 2nd and 3rd graders changed some of theirs.
Yeah. How proud does that make you feel when you hear him
Very,
say that?
very proud. And it's so cute because Ryan is still very close to his littles that he'll say, "Mom, oh my gosh, Mom, I'm in the lower school right now," and he'll spend time with them. They'll see him, a moment, because life is made up of all these moments, and a moment that Ryan did not know about was that he was practicing, and they're practicing for the football game, and they're practicing. And Ryan is very close to Jamie Marnaka's daughter, Remy, the youngest one. And she would make her mother wait at the elevator, and she would watch Ryan, and she's trying to get his attention just to give like the high. And Ryan is very focused on getting the play done and doing his thing. And there's a moment where he looks to the side and he sees her and he gives her that high, and she's like, "Hi," and it's just that joy that he has, and it's just, oh my gosh, it's just so amazing. It's so amazing. Yeah.
The connection.
It's about all the relationships, right? We always come back.
Yeah.
It's the relationships.
And so Ryan, we'll talk about this and see how proud you are about your mom, but she won the Milken Award in 2009. How old were you?
I think I must have been like 4 or something.
4.
Right.
Yeah.
Like gonna start kindergarten.
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
And that's, for those who don't know, that's the Oscars of teaching. Such a awesome accomplishment while you were at Iolani High School.
Yeah. And it's only for public school teachers. So you can't apply for it. You can't say, "I'm just going to apply for this award." No, the Milken family comes to find you, and there are committees and secret meetings that happen.
And the Milken, it's cool too, in the sense that it's not one of those lifetime achievement or you've been doing it so long type of thing. And I think this is really impactful. It targets an early to mid-career professional teaching who, has impressive achievements, but more significantly, the promise of what they will accomplish in the future.
Yeah.
So identifying that, recognizing it, holding it up, showing it to people, and people like you go on to teach. And you've gone on to teach here. 7 years later, you came to Iolani School. And there's this long list of criteria that I'm looking at, and it's the things that you would normally suspect, right? But one thing that kind of jumped out at me: engaging and inspiring presence that motivates and impacts students, colleagues, and the community. And yeah, we understand teachers and the students, but colleagues and the community. You do that.
Thanks,
You're teaching colleagues here and the community and all of the things that you've done. You've mentioned Ohana and your advisory roles and speech and debate and just out in the world, out in our community. Credit to your colleagues at Iolani for nominating you, going through that process. And honestly, I don't know that we could have kept that secret here at Iolani School.
Yeah.
Credit to them for keeping it secret. Kind of take us through how that unfolded.
That particular day.
That day. So they went through that process and nominated you and got the award for you. But how did that unfold? Because it's secret.
It's extremely
it needs to be secret.
And it needs to be secret. And I think because of the fact that when you have your notification, it is the wow factor. That it's unsuspecting people because we're just doing the work. You're just living your life doing the work. And it was interesting because I was lucky to have 2 dear friends who were Milkens. So Candy Suiso and Robin, he was at Nanakuli. So Kitsu, very interesting, and to have witnessed this, and you're just like, oh my goodness, superstars, right?
Yeah.
And so this had been going on for months because the process is a very long process. And the day I was supposed to have my notification, ironically, was the day before teachers went on furlough. So, I mean, one day you're celebrating a teacher in public education. On the other hand, it's like we're being furloughed. So, what happened was my school, the way they decided to do it was that they had a fire drill. So the fire drill was planned. They had a fire drill. We did our whole thing. And then they had a bomb threat. That was their answer. So 2,500 kids had to get to the stadium. So they get to the stadium because if there is a bomb threat, that's our meeting place. So we're all there. Everyone's there. There's cameras and stuff, but you're not even like taking a look at this. And then I'm down there and every seat is taken except for one seat in the crowd. And so two of my friends are like, this boy over there, he needs help. You should go help him. So I'm like, okay, I'll go to help the boy. And the boy, of course, has no idea what's going on. And so my friends are like, two of my friends, and they said, oh, you know what? Since we're here, let's sit down. So we sat down, and then my principal at the time, the amazing Dr. John Brummel, is speaking, and then he started talking about his like his favorite teacher. Then the next thing you know, he's introducing the governor.
This is not a bomb threat.
I know. And I'm like, what's going on? I'm
That's
like,
liars.
So Governor Linda Lingo's talking, and then she starts to talk about her teacher, and I said, wait a minute. Is somebody over here going to get the Milken Award? And I start crying because I'm so excited.
Because you're going to get to see it.
Yeah, because I'm so excited because one of my friends is going to win this. And I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
You're here.
And I'm here. And then, okay, unbeknownst to everyone, just the day before, my husband tells me, you need to apply at Iolani school. You got to get Ryan here. And, he's here.
The day before?
The day before. And I said, this is when you talk about divine timing, okay? Everything is divine timing.
Wow.
And he tells me, you need to make that happen, Lisa, because I want to retire, but, whatever. So he's telling me this. And then I'm like, dear Lord, if I meant to stay at Mililani High School longer, please help me. Please help me find money. Okay, guys, I'm told this is the power of prayer and the power of manifesting. My dear friend Kelly Weaver would love this. So manifesting. And so this thing, so then she's talking and then I'm crying, right? Then she says, I'm here for the Milken Award. I'm going to give this Milken Award away. I'm like totally losing it, because I'm so excited for one of my friends. And then she says the recipient is Lisa and Tsuruda. I'm like, what? And I raise my hand. So you can Google me and you will see, it'll show me front page of the Star Advertiser. And I'm like raising my hand. And everyone went crazy. And it was just mayhem. And it was wonderful. And my husband, who was a school administrator, was at a conference. So later I call him and he's like, gets up and is like, I gotta leave. My wife won the Milken. He comes by, gets me flowers, then he goes back. But when you say, Lord, do I need to be here? Because I really believed that there was work I still needed to do at Mililani High School, and it's all about the timing. But then people are like, oh my God, you've won $25,000.
Yeah.
And I have my poster up in my room. I always have it up there to remind me that you got to bring it every single day. And they are like, oh my gosh, what did you do with the money? Because what's unusual about the Milken Award is you can use it for anything. People have adopted children. People have gone on trips of a lifetime, after the taxes. So people are like, what are you going to do? So I paid for Ryan's tuition at Iolani. So I was happy. And then
Kindergarten.
Yeah. And then the rest of the money is I have a scholarship, which had always been a dream of mine, because I was lucky at Sacred Hearts Academy that I won the CSEFTEL scholarship for my freshman year. And I'm like, I need to help someone. And my whole dream was, I'm going to take $10,000 and I'm going to do 20 $500 scholarships for 20 years. I am going to give one of them away to a senior at Mililani High School who wants to be a teacher. So that's my thing. And I'm on year, I want to say 12 or 13 now. And just to see where all my kids are, and I call it my legacy scholarship, to see where they are. And many of them are in the field or they're in college right now to be teachers. And I mean, it's such a trip, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
Incredible.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Lisa and L. Tsuruda Legacy Scholarship for Future Educators. Thank you so much. Check that out, Ryan. And
See this.
Right here, it's Mike Milken right here, and
That's
Lowell
you.
Milken, and that's me. Yes.
and it's contagious, just like your enthusiasm, because there's one at Waianae High School now too.
Yes,
Very
so
similar.
one of my dear friends, Kim Coco Iwamoto, who was Board of Education, and I've known her since we were 15 years old, and she's like, you inspire me. I'm gonna donate $10,000 to Waianae High School, so I have a legacy scholarship there too. So 40 legacies. So I mean, what a career! What a career!
So awesome. When you're here teaching at Iolani School now, do you ever see yourself in one of the 7th graders or 8th graders? Like, oh, that's me.
I see them all the time.
Oh, really?
All the time.
Like, I know how to help that boy or girl, or
I see them all the time when there's those particular girls or boys who are these readers and they rather read than do anything else.
Mm-hmm. That was you?
That's me. And I mean, we do free reading in 7th grade, and we tell them, okay, for my particular class, it's 1,250 pages a quarter, so 5,000 pages in a year,
Whoa.
which is equivalent to 25 books. And the thing is, if you invest, and studies have proven this, and Tori Nishimiya shared this with me, and I keep it to me, is you read 20 minutes a day, your reading level will go so high that when you take, say, for example, the SAT or any type of thing, it would build your vocabulary so strong that when I have kids who, are struggling, I'm like, 20 minutes a day, you just have to invest 20 minutes a day in yourself. And I see some of my kids, they in a year read so many books. 5,000 pages is nothing. They read 20,000 pages in a year. And, they're trying to like listen to you in class, but yet they're reading a book. I get it. I totally get it. And I'm like, you're my people. You're my people.
So Lisa, before you began working here in 2016,
Yeah.
you were working in the summer school.
Yes.
In 2012, I believe you began. Specifically, I want to ask you about the Ka'i program.
Oh my
which
God.
I'm sure is very near and dear to your heart. And
Yeah.
Allison Blankenship visited me in my office today and let us know that the Ka'i program is expanding.
So exciting.
We're going to learn more about that, and has expanded over the years. But kind of share with us what the Ka'i program is and why it's so special to you.
Okay, so the Ka'i program, this is like its 11th year, and basically it's a public-private partnership that Iolani School has with the Palolo Valley group of kids. So we look at kids that are at Jarrett, and then we follow a group, they're cohorts, and a group of kids, it started where they kind of would come here to experience Iolani summer school. And then listening to what were the needs of the kids and their families, we started to go post-secondary, and then now go all the way down to Ka'ikeiki, which is all the way to preschool. And it's like that whole journey for some of the families. And the way that I got involved in the Ka'i program was through teaching summer school. And I created a course, and my course is called The Hero, Within and Without. And I would have a number of kids from the Ka'i program taking my course. And then I would teach a later course, and they were older. So I was having kids 7th grade and then having them 10, 11, 12th grade to see the span. And then what happened as well was that then the kids said they needed a year-round tutoring situation too, because what's going to help them from summer to summer. And then when Allison and Kirk asked for people who wanted to help with tutoring, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so in. And there have been years where Ryan had to come with me for my sessions sometimes with kids, and he was able to see like what we do. But this program is near and dear to my heart because I choose this for myself. So there are some things that, say, for example, things that I'm involved with and it could be, because it's given to me, or, this is the team you're on, or, we need help with X, Y, or Z. But for Ka'i, I choose this myself for myself. And what happens with it is it keeps me real because it is helping kids who are in the public schools. And it's helping kids that are in the Palolo Valley area. And I'm from Sacred Hearts Academy. I'm an alum, proud alum. And I would see these kids. So I'm able to help them towards something. And for me, just to spend time, again, to spend time with kids who are younger and to let them know that they are able to attain their goals and their dreams and their aspirations. And maybe me helping them a little bit on how to write, how to read, how to comprehend, how to have thoughts about things, how to research things because I've helped the kids through all kinds of things with Macbeth and psychology, all kinds of different things. But it's something I choose for myself to keep it in it because people sometimes ask me, oh, you're now at a private school.
Yeah.
Like you don't care about public school anymore. And I'm like, no, that's not what it is. I will always, inside the core of myself, I will always be a proud public school teacher. And, which has made me very strong. You want to make somebody a super strong teacher, they got to teach, wherever they need to teach. And it's all different kinds of kids, right? And schools are changing in terms of its clientele. It's no longer 1%. It's an array of kids, and to have that experience means a lot. So Ka'i for me will always be. So for Allison and Kirk, anything they need. So for year to year, I might teach something different. So this year I'm going to be focusing on speaking. So speeches. Last year we focused on writing. We've done things where my course, but I just had kids that were from Ka'i, but now it's very specialized for Ka'i kids themselves based on their needs. On my wall right here, it says, "We love you, Mrs. Tsuruda," and that is from my Ka'i group of kids.
Oh.
2 years ago, in the back they write. So they always write notes. They're very demonstrative with their appreciation. It keeps me going. So I look at this, and I look at my milk can, right? And I look at my pictures in my books. So that's what keeps me motivated. And the thing is the kids who come here, this is what they see, that you can attain this. We're in a print-rich environment, All you have to do is go to a book and open a book, right? So, powerful.
Extremely powerful. Thank you for all of that. Ryan, you are taking AP Calculus, AP Physics, AP Psychology. You're self-studying for AP Language and Culture exam. Senior year so far, 4.1 GPA.
So let's keep it that way.
Let's go.
And you're looking into getting into engineering. Where are you now in the college process?
So I have thus far gotten into 9 colleges.
Whoa.
I'm pretty sure. I'm waiting to hear back from 6 of them. And I am currently, you're in that waiting stage, but really the college process never ends. I'm trying to apply to all these different scholarships. I'm applying to the Kaimana scholarship right now. And I'm, having interviews with certain colleges that are on the fence about me. So, I'm able to apply. One of the strong suits of me is I'm a really good speaker. So I'm able to, have that one-on-one and that personal touch. But I'm also trying to apply for like these full ride scholarships, which, there's a lot on the line in it because, it would help my family so much if we pay
full
less.
ride scholarship.
Less than 10,000, that would be amazing, but I feel like the hardest part is over. I think that, applying to the colleges for sure is so hard because as I've said before, I'm not the strongest writer, but I think that now that I appreciate it more, I think there's some times where I'm like, I can't believe I wrote this. Like, I'm genuinely like, this is a really good paper. But, part of the thing about the college process is you're basically selling yourself to these colleges, right? Like, you. So the writing, you do need the fundamentals on how to write, but ultimately they're going to ask a question to get to know who you are. And as long as you have done a lot of things in your life that, and there's certain moments in your life that you really want to highlight, such as like turning points or, like extracurricular activities. It's not that hard, like I think that for juniors and sophomores, it may seem like a daunting task, but it's definitely doable. It's definitely doable.
Looking forward to it?
Yes. I mean,
leaving the island?
Man, I'm going to miss this place so much. I mean, Iolani School specifically. I've lived here 13 years at this school.
Yeah.
And, I've gotten so close with my classmates. And, I mean, I hope whatever college I go to, there's at least one person from Iolani in my class, But I am very excited to meet new people. I think that to a certain extent, I have been enabled in that I never had to be the incoming sixth grader coming in, trying to make new friends. I've basically known people my whole life. And I think that I am excited to take my life's journey to the next step and, get out of my comfort zone again.
Yeah. You ready for that, Mom? This is your baby.
No,
this
you're
is
not.
the baby. I mean, I'm not, but I am, because this is what my husband and I have been working towards with him this entire time. And it's like the threshold is right there. He is going to not walk through it. He is going to run through it. And as a parent, the level of pride that you have in your child, knowing that even though they're not sure, they're beginners again, but that they are ready. And that this place has had such a huge hand in making my son ready, so that when he hears the call, he will answer. And not just answer like a quiet answer, but with a loud answer. It's very exciting.
You've done pretty good with the. You got your Kleenex. You've done pretty good.
I only cried 4 times, guys. This is pretty good.
I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to push you over the edge. I really am not. But I need to ask you, what is it going to feel like on the first Saturday of June, June 4th, 2022, 5 p.m., when that processional starts? Your son is there. You're one of the class advisors of the class of 22. You've known some of these. I almost called them children. They're going to be young adults,
Yep.
especially on that day.
Yep.
Since they were 5 years old.
Yeah.
What is that going to be like? Like, it's always emotional for me just to see them do that. What is it going to be like for you, Lisa?
It's going to be so emotional. I mean, I do not know whether I will cry through almost the entire thing.
Or
but,
maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe you'll just be there in the moment.
But I think in the moment, and I think the time when they're coming and Rob and I are helping them on stage.
Yeah.
That's going to be huge. That's going to be huge. To see them en masse, and they all, right now what I'm experiencing is this contradictory where I want time to speed up so that all 277 know where they're going to go and where they're going to fly away to. And I want time to slow down because we are almost to the end of February already.
Yeah.
And this journey is almost over, or this phase of this journey is almost over. And then their phase will begin again. And I mean, the level of pride that even through my tears, I know that my joy will be radiating all the way out there. So I mean, some of you guys, you might want to watch me during graduation on the live stream, but
Yeah,
you have to
won't
just
be,
leave it out there. You have to leave it out there.
You won't be seated with the faculty. You'll be helping them up the stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for Rob and I, it's gonna be very, very powerful. And I mean, I don't know, guys. I mean, it's gonna happen in like 100 and something days. I have an app that I'm gonna take a look at really quickly. It's 107 days from now.
Okay. Wow. From
So,
today, as we
From today, on the 24th, they will have 100 days left totally. A lot of living to do and a lot of memory making to make.
When she says that, Ryan, how does that make you feel? What are you thinking right now?
Man, I'm so sad. This is. I do feel very empathetic for you. Like I can't. Sometimes I get sad at the fact that I'm gonna be leaving, but I have the opportunity to start the next phase of my life.
Oh yeah, so exciting.
Like it's exciting, but for you, I mean, I'm not only gonna be graduating, right? But I'm also gonna be like not here for school. Not gonna be there at home. Like I cannot even fathom how sad it must be. But I know even when I'm away, I'm gonna be calling you every single day. I'll be calling Dad every single day, checking in.
We're gonna get a dog, guys.
They need a dog.
We need something to take care of, guys. Like,
Okay.
right?
Anybody out there have a dog?
Yeah. while we're waiting for the grandchildren to eventually arrive, But that's gonna be a long time from now.
It's
but
just, oh man, I do have mixed emotions. There's some days where I'm just like, I cannot even wait to be in college. But there's other times where like, last night, I was just like, we just had mid-quarter. There's a quarter and a half left in my senior year. And I don't know if I have accomplished everything that I'm supposed to have accomplished by now. And I just want to make sure that I do everything in the time that I have left.
Ryan, you've accomplished a lot.
Thank you.
Enjoy the last quarter and a half. And the track and field.
And track. Yeah.
But my goodness, you've done so much to add to our community, and we will miss you. But somehow we know you're not going to be that too far away, especially when your mom's here. And
I will be visiting
building.
as much as possible, because there's so many people on campus here that I want to see them in their senior year.
Yeah.
And I'll just be able to be like, I was in your shoes, and they're going through the same thing that I'm going to be going through, and the alumni above me went through the same thing that I did. It's just an amazing cycle that we have here at Iolani.
yeah, we just had our Founders Day.
Yeah.
So if you stop and you think about it, the king and the queen, how farsighted were they, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like the three things. They made a hospital. They made a church, they helped the church. And they did a
Mind,
school.
Body and soul.
Soul.
Yeah.
And all of it. And it's like, thank you, Thank you, king and queen. Thank you.
Yeah. It's amazing to think about that and how long ago that was and how different a place this was.
I never got a chance to tell you, my grandfather is an alum of Iolani School. So he was the class of 1921. So my Chinese grandfather was from Merchant Son on Kauai, came on a boat, and he boarded, and he was here. And it's like 101 years later, here's Ryan. So that's kind of interesting. That's going to graduate. So really interesting. It's crazy. Yeah.
So amazing. So we're coming to the tail end of our podcast here, our session. So we'll go back to Ryan and ask him if he has a question.
I think
for his mom.
You've seen me grow up from when I was in kindergarten to now. I can't imagine how emotional that must be. but you've also seen me change a lot.
Yep.
What do you think is the biggest change that I've made since I started as a kindergartner?
Awesome question, Ryan.
Great question, son. So
Thank you.
my answer is your level of confidence. So I would say growing up, you were much more internal, that it was something that you weren't familiar with, you kind of would just like do things that you were familiar with, and to go outside of that familiarity would take a while. Or even new people, like if we met someone new, it took a while to warm up to them. And through the years, what I noticed about you is instead of being okay to just kind of be here or on the periphery, you really step forward, and that you are the leader. You will take a microphone and you will speak, and you will just be your own person in that sense. Is that you're okay, like just like you're saying, like right now that you're going to go to college, you're going to be in a different comfort zone. You're going to be a little uncomfortable. And what I notice about you is that you totally challenge yourself to be in these uncomfortable situations sometimes, or things that you've never done before. You're willing to step up and do it. What I also notice about you is, but this could have been already within you, is this innate sense of not doing things for yourself, that you will always look to how does this benefit the whole, which takes a certain level of maturity, where you're not only looking at it like from your perspective and what's in it for me, and to see you as a separate person versus being my child. And many parents will attest to this, that you feel that your child is an extension of you, but to look at you as your own person, and that, you know what, you're a pretty cool person, you know? Like, even if I wasn't your mother, I would still be very proud of you, and I would be still very much inspired by you and what you do and who you are. I love you, son.
I love you too, Mom. That means so much to me that you probably can't even imagine.
We're gonna hug later.
Yeah, we're gonna hug right now.
Yeah, you're gonna hug right now, but we have our microphone and headgear on right now.
Wow. This is an emotional journey. Even for me, to be here with you too, and to see your bond, to see this genuine, loving bond, to talk so openly about each other and the school and your journey. Thank you so much.
Thanks, JT.
It's very special.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
And I think it really speaks to the power of really important things. Family, faith,
yeah,
and education. But family, first and foremost. So awesome. Again, can't thank you both enough. Lisa and Tsuruda.
Thank you.
Ryan Tsuruda.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the school year.
Hug it out, son.
Hug.
Hugs.